How's everyone doing this morning?
All right.
So happy to be here. My name is Kier Garrett. I go to City Arts and Tech High School, and this is my college success portfolio. At City Arts and Tech High School, at the end of your 12th grade year, you're supposed to make a success portfolio with all the artifacts that you did overall. So this project right here, I took an artifact that I did in my English class about good food and bad food, and I made it more about me and my community and what I feel like are some values that I hold myself. So I made it about me. So this is what that is. Who am I? I actually work in the mayor's office in San Francisco with London Breed. I'm also part of MBSK Youth Council, my brothers and sisters keeper, and I started this when I was 13 years old, so I'm 17 now. So you're supposed to be 16 to get in this program, so I was beyond my years and just... But yeah, I was beyond my years, so I started getting to community work when I was 13 years old, being with my grandmother. My grandmother's name is Lottie Titus, and she's a commissioner in San Francisco, and she's been doing that since I've been born. So just looking at her being an example to me has really shaped my future. And this is my project, The Effects of Unhealthy Food in Low-Income Neighborhoods in District 10, Bayview Hunters Point. Why this project is important to me. This picture right here is my beautiful sister Maya. I'm the oldest out of 3, and I remember being in 9th grade and getting a phone call that my sister was in diabetic coma. So when you're young and your sister's in a diabetic coma, she was in 6th grade at the time, and that's just something hard for anybody to go through. So even though she went through that, she still pushed forward and still was strong and still had life. She didn't let her having diabetes, her being in that coma, stop who she was. So that's why she's really my rock too, and she's really an important person in my life. And she just made the honor roll. So I'm really proud of her. She's had diabetes for about 6 years now, so she got it when she was really young. And when you're young like that, a lot of people don't understand the kind of condition you're in. So she was teased a lot, but even past all that, she continued to push through. My sister isn't the only one affected by diabetes in my community, obesity, just my community not having enough resources to survive. So this is why it's so important to me. It's important because I've seen it firsthand with my sister, I've seen it with my community, and I've seen it with the country, and that's just some things that I want to change when I'm in a position to do so. Poverty and low income. Poverty is the state of being extremely poor. Low income is when your income is twice below the federal poverty line. So in San Francisco, 39,000 is low income and 115,000 is medium income. But my family just alone, we made less than that, so they really need an extremely low, poor section. Because where my community come from, we didn't really have a lot of things to survive. And if you don't have money or anything, then you can't buy the necessities you need for your household: food, clothes, shelter. It's on health based on low income. So if you ever come to San Francisco and go to a low income area where a lot of Black and Latinos families are, you'll probably see a lot of fast food restaurants like a McDonald's, a Jack in the Box, more cheaper food, but that's all the food that some of these families can survive. But if you go into more of a higher income area, you'll see more Whole Foods, Fresh and Easy's, markets next to the area. Our definition of liquor stores and fast food restaurants is totally different from higher income families. I remember being with my friends. I used to go to Aptis, which is in a higher income area, and we asked for a bag of chips, and they gave us baked chips. So we didn't really know what those type of chips were. We just wanted like a bag of Doritos. But you can clearly see in the community the difference between low income and higher income class. My audience, I'm targeting people in District 10 neighborhood. These are all the beautiful neighborhoods of San Francisco. This is all District 10. This first one right here, this is my beautiful grandma too. You really can't see her, but she's very beautiful. So that's my rock. I live in this neighborhood right here, Huntersview. This neighborhood right here is Sunnydale, Double Rock, and Alice Griffin or Betrell Hill. All these neighborhoods here are more than likely to go to a fast food restaurant, if not a liquor store. and they're all just down the block next door to one, and that's what you see a lot in these communities. So I'm targeting people in my community, people in public housing are more at risk to eat these type of foods. Also, all District 10 residents and the communities. This is Baby Hunters Point. This is where I grew up. So when you come to my neighborhood, and this is just on the main street of my neighborhood, this is what you see. You see corner store, corner store, corner store. And right here, this is just my form of oppression in my neighborhood. This is what you see when you come to my neighborhood. You see a lot of sodium, a lot of sweets, corner store, a lot of alcohol. And this, like I said, is just really just my form of oppression. But don't get it wrong, my neighborhood is a beautiful place where I was made from. And I'm up here speaking to y'all today. So that must mean something, that they're doing something right. Thank you. One thing I do like about the corner stores nowadays is Torino's, the main street that everyone goes to for the corner store, is that they're trying to change the game up. They're actually giving youth and people in general just a choice. They're now putting a market in their stores. So now you'll have junk food, and now you'll have fresh food that you can use to eat. And I think you should always give people an option. Maybe not all the time youth want vegetables and fruit, maybe sometimes they want a chip, but I think you should always give people that choice. So being in a higher income district, like I said, you'll see this is inside Whole Foods, and this is a market, both inside San Francisco, and even Google knows that who really gets these resources that they need. There's really no African American people in this picture, no Latino people in here. So you really see who's really getting the resources they need. And this is when you come to San Francisco, this is what you're gonna see. If we do have enough money, which is rare sometimes, to get these resources, we have to travel an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get to Whole Foods because it's nowhere close to ours. It used to be in our neighborhood, but they got taken away and replaced with corner stores. So if we do want these healthy foods, we'll have to travel a long way just to get them. So that's why people lean toward more of the McDonald's and the liquor stores. So this is San Francisco, this is District 5 and District 10 right here. District 5 is Noe Valley, higher income district, and below down here is District 10. And you can clearly see the corner stores down here that are on top of each other, more connected to each other. And on Google Maps, it's not displaying right now, but all these right here are liquor stores, and these are all marketplaces and Whole Foods and Fresh and Easy's. So you can clearly see them. On down here is liquor stores, and right here is the higher income place where they have more food and resources. And this might not look far on the map, but that's a good distance if you want to get some healthy food. It's like 45 minutes, an hour if you want to get some healthy food. So that's just the difference right here. My brother and sister's youth group, at my brother and sister's keeper, I deal in the health sector. So I deal with all the mental health, the physical health, and everything. So this group means a lot to me. And this is really a youth group that I feel like has a lot of power in San Francisco and really wants to make change. So one thing that we're trying to come up with is a health fair, having more health education for youth so they can really see the difference of what junk food and what fast food does to your body, and also getting more resources in these communities. That's a start. Then putting more higher quality food in our community. So this is one of the groups that I'm a part of, dealing in the health department with this group and really trying to push that proposal to get more health programs in for the youth. Yeah, like I said before, providing more health programs. I think, like you seen the group up here, them doing their music was beautiful. That was a great performance. Y'all did a good job. Whatever form of art that the youth wants to do, whether it's dance, whether it's sports teams, just performing arts in general, I think that we should get the resources to be able to do it. And that's a proposal that I'm willing to push and continue on to push. I think it's important to get youth out the house and also get their bodies moving and it's just for them to have something to do. Envision's leadership skills, I feel like I use communicating powerfully. I'm standing up here talking to all these beautiful people, so I feel like you guys are learning something as I talk. I feel like you guys are learning something while I talk, and it's good just to spread awareness because I hope I taught somebody something today, something new that you guys can go and share with your friends and family. Also thinking critically, this isn't the type of project that you can just pass on through or just keep past. You gotta really think deep about it. And since it was my community, I had to go even further way back, because this just isn't the first time that this type of thing has popped up in the community. This has constantly been going on. So just me doing my research a little bit more and actually know what I'm talking about was a big step. Collaborating productively, I couldn't have done this alone. Like I said, my grandmother, my sister, and my whole group in the mayor's office have stand behind me and have had my back. So them just teaching me things about the community, things that I didn't know, has really helped me. My plans for the future, I'm going to attend San Francisco State. I want to study political science and criminal justice. I want to be a supervisor for District 10. Shamal Walton is a supervisor that runs District 10 now, so I'm going to take his job. And after I'm done being District 10 supervisor, I'd like to become the mayor of San Francisco. So if you guys move out there, make sure to vote for me. And this is my quote, something that really stood out to me. Steve Michael said, "The greatest weapon in the hand of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed." I feel like this quote really stood out to me because of just my neighborhood being comfortable with just having certain liquor stores and being accustomed to this is all we really got. But I think we should really fight for what we want to see in our community, which we have been doing over the past years. And I think we're going to continue to fight because we won't let anyone control us anymore. We're our own people, and we're going to shape our own future. So my name is Gary Gary, and this is my CSP performance.
And as we progress from 6th to 8th grade, we collect our projects and all the work we do to help prove how we have mastered these competencies. And once we get to 8th grade, all of the 8th graders get to put together their presentation of learning so that they can prove to a panel of community members, teachers, and other students how they've mastered these competencies. So my name's Hannah Williams, and this is my presentation of learning. I'm from Tree County. Messed that one up. I'm from Cadiz, Kentucky, and I go to Tree County Middle School. We are most famous for having the world's largest country ham biscuit. Yep, full of rednecks and country people. My favorite subject is math. I've always been really good at it and been able to get really far in my math classes. And in recent years, I have found that I'm actually really good in English, even though it's not my favorite subject. But I'm able to just push myself even harder to get that done. And I am a tactile learner. I like doing hands-on things and being able to do projects that allow me to do experiments and get to work in that field. But I am still good with being able to read and listen anything that I need to listen or read. Yeah. And then in my free time, I really love listening to music and reading because they help me just kind of wind down and get ready to go out and do more work. So the first competency is mastery learner, which is being able to take in all that content and fully understand it. So I chose my body book, which is from my 7th grade science class. And in this, we had to pick a system of the body and then study that and research everything that we could on it to create either a cartoon children's type book or a scientific study book. So I chose the nervous system because I find it pretty intriguing and wrote a scientific 10-page-ish book that I got to present to some 4th grade kids that came from our elementary school. And that was actually a really cool experience because when they were in 4th grade, they were learning the basics of the systems of the body, so they got to come to the middle school and hear all about that in a more in-depth way. But we spent weeks of studying on this. We had to figure out what type of cells make up the systems, how the systems work with the rest of the body, and even things like what would happen if they got damaged. So then we got to make our books and present them, and we got to have a lot of fun doing that, and was actually able to connect my science and my English. The science being all of the research that we did on the systems of the body, and the English being writing the book and all the grammar that went into that. So my second project, or competency, is self-directed learner, which is being able to not only learn by yourself, but being able to create goals to get to that. So for this, I chose my masterpiece, which is from math and history in this 8th grade year. And the math portion was all on linear equations, so being able to write the equation, to graph it, to know the slope and if it's negative or positive and all of that. While the history section was all about family history. So in that, we got to interview a family member, and I got to interview my dad. And we asked questions about their life growing up, or their family members that maybe we hadn't got to meet, and all of that led up to where we are today. So I got to find out that my great-grandmother moved here from France, and all about how my dad grew up with his 8 brothers in Alabama. So that led to me creating this, which is the Eiffel Tower inside of an outline of Alabama. And yeah, it's a mess. But we created this image on an online program called Plotly. So it's all made from little lines from coordinates. And then we got to actually paint it in our history class. In this project, I had a tendency to prefer the quality of my work over the deadlines. So even though... So my teachers, they would tell me, this needs to be done by then. And in my mind, I would kind of go, well, I think I can do better if I work on this outside of class, but it might be a day late. Yeah. So that was really fun. I got to actually take this home for a couple of days and spend a lot of time trying to paint it because I kept messing up. I'm just a messy person. So we got that done, and I brought it into school, and I felt like because I got to put so much more extra work into it, it looks a lot better than what I was expecting at first. Yeah, and then there was a ton of goals put into this. I had to tell myself at the very beginning, Hannah, you're going to have to put a lot of extra work into this if you want it to look good. You better make sure that it's created by a certain time so that you can paint it in a certain time so that your teachers aren't getting onto you for it being late. Yeah. And then also a ton of revision. I had to go back on the website that I created it on. For some reason, it did not like me, so I spent a lot of extra time trying to get that all to work out and getting it to the point that it's at. Yeah. Now, the third competency is critical thinker, which is being able to learn the content and then pull out new conclusions from it. So for that, I chose my What Makes It Memorable, which is from 7th grade English. And in it, we were given a speech, and I was given Patrick Henry's Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death. And, and we had to do a ton of research on this person and figure out what in their life led up to them giving their speech, and then which rhetorical techniques and devices they used in it to make it memorable today. So the final project on this was a Weebly, which is another online website, and it explained all of that research, and then also a video of us doing expert of the speech. We had almost 2 months of work time on this. The first month just being research, and the second one being putting it all into the program to make it nice and professional. Let's see. We did a detailed analysis of it, so I can't speak English. Analysis. Thank you. So one of the main things in my Weebly that I point out is that he used a ton of rhetorical questions. I think it's 21 to be exact. One of those that really stood out was, if life's so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. Because the whole purpose of his speech was to get the American citizens to want to get out and fight against Britain and be free, because there was a lot going on back then. But yeah, life's a lot better today, I could say. But all the information in this is cited and relevant. Like I said, we spent about a month just finding the information alone, and there is a lot of it. So my fourth competency is collaborator, which is not only being able to work with people and build and keep up a positive relationship, but being able to work towards a common goal. So I chose my 8th grade English project called Bad Vibes, where we had to decide whether violent media is bad for society or whether it doesn't affect society. So we actually did research on our own at first, where we got to figure out what we think about it and build our own personal opinion. And then we were put into our groups where we all got to talk to each other and figure out as a whole what we stood on. So my group decided to talk about how violent video games are bad for society. One of the things that really stood out to us that we were all able to get together and really drive in our presentation when we did this was a story that happened about 3 years ago where some 12-year-old girls led one of their friends into the wood and stabbed her 19 times because of the fictional character Slenderman, and they wanted to make him happy. So we decided to put that into our poster and present that to the class to help prove our point, because society could be a lot better if it wasn't for these violent video games that push messages of hurting and killing people. In this project, I took on the leader role. I have a tendency to do that. When people aren't doing their work, or if they just kind of don't want to do anything, I try to push them, but if they don't, I just get frustrated and kind of take over their job. So if I had to go back and fix anything on this, it would be kind of slacking off that leader role just a little bit to let other people kind of get the chance to go up there and shine. And then also in this project, there was a ton of feedback. We were talking with each other a lot, talking with our teacher, just trying to figure out anything and everything that we could fix to make it the best that we could. And then the fifth and final competency is communicator, which is being able to talk with other people, to learn all these things and tell them about what you've learned, but also in diverse settings and in different ways. So I chose my This I Believe project, which is also from 8th grade English, which was all based off of a book that we had read in class called Tuesdays with Maury. So our poster that we created for this had 2 final products, the first being a paragraph about our Maury, or our teacher in our life. So I chose my dad, who is here today, and got to write a little bit about how he's always been there, literally since day one, and how, lost my train of thought. But I got to write about how he's taught me so many things in life, and how me and him were pretty much best friends when I was little, and we're still really close to this day. Yeah. And then the second part that we wrote about was this little essay at the bottom, which is about a belief that we have in our life and how that belief came to be. So I chose honesty because that's something that my parents have always pushed, and I've always had this thing that stuck with me that they told me when I was little, and it was, tell the truth and you won't get in as much trouble. And then I also got to write about how my friends have taught me this lesson, and how even I've taught myself this lesson. Because being honest with yourself, it's really hard to do. A lot of kids can't do it, and some adults struggle with it too. So I decided to write about how just being honest with yourself and telling yourself, hey, this isn't right, hey, you should do this differently, it's something that we all need to do. But going back to this, in this project, I got to actually get a lot of practice in on it because I presented it at my exhibition night at my school, which is where community members get to come into the school and listen to students present their work that they've done throughout the year and get their work out into the community. And so I actually practiced this with some other students and my teacher, and got to present it to my parents and some of my friends at school that just came up to me in the hallways to listen to it. And I feel like I did a really good job on this project. I put a lot of work into it, and it's really based off of myself, so I knew it was all things that I would really like to share with people. And I got to do like a Q&A while I was doing it, so I would stop and be like, hey, do you have any questions? Or if there was something that I thought I didn't explain good on the first try, I'd kind of go back and explain that a little bit better. But all of this is leading to my future. If I had to reflect on the past, I would say My self-directed learner is probably my best competency, just because for the past 3 years in middle school, we've really put a lot of work into being able to work on your own and set your goals to get to where you're wanting to go. And that's something that my mindset's always been, if you can do it on your own, why not try? And then if you fail, you can ask people for help and they'll be there. But if I had to work on one the most, it probably would be my collaborator, just because I take that leader role a little too often. Yeah, because there's always room for improvement. No one's perfect. You can always work on these, and I'll work on these more. But all of these will help me in high school. I'm comfortable and ready. I feel like I've done a good job with all these competencies, and I am ready for high school. I'm ready to follow my career path with these skills and be able to get out in the real world and be either a veterinarian because of my long life love of animals, or be an engineer because of my recent, it's catch my eye in recent years, and I've been able to tinker with things and take things apart and put them back together and figure out all these cool new things. But that's the end. Thank you all for listening.
So when I was graduating middle school, I went to a very non-traditional middle school. It was a project-based charter school, and I knew I didn't want to go to a traditional high school. I saw what education could be, and I didn't want to settle for 4 years. So I was so happy when I saw the San Diego Met High School, because not only do they have a lot of morals I agree with, being a big picture school and a deeper learning school, but also they have some really cool programs. We're on a college campus, so we're able to take college classes at the campus early, starting in 10th grade. And then also they have an internship program where every single student, every Tuesday and Thursday, instead of going to normal classes, goes to an internship of their choosing. And this was just a great opportunity I saw. It was a great way to jumpstart my thoughts in the career I wanted to go into, get college classes done, and I just had opportunities I couldn't find anywhere else, so I decided to attend it. So I'm going to go through my internship history with you guys and kind of the breakthroughs and thoughts I've had throughout it. So my first internship was actually in the 7th grade classroom of the middle school I went to, Innovations Academy. And I went there because this was the age group I wanted to teach. The 7th and 6th grade has the maturity to where you can have interesting conversations, but also they're young enough that they're engaging and interesting. And my biggest takeaway was, no, I don't want to. No. The kids are really sweet, and I enjoyed them, but it was just, the maturity wasn't quite there for what I wanted to do. So that was my biggest takeaway, but also I got to have a lot of really interesting experiences as far as seeing the behind the scenes stuff of being a teacher, as far as project creation, especially in this non-traditional way. I got to see all these interesting, crazy projects that we were doing, but then see the planning behind them and see the objectives behind them and how do we make a good project. And I was able to take this experience and actually plan a whole project, which I was really, really happy with. We went on a field trip to the Biosphere 2 in Arizona. I got to plan all the lessons leading into it and then actually plan the trip itself and then go. It was my last week of the internship there, and it was so much fun. These are a few photos I took from the actual trip. But just to actually learn those skills and then work with the teachers to create an actual project and then do something like this, I mean, it's a dream come true for someone who wants to be a teacher. So it was really, really cool. Next, I went to probably my favorite internship, the Fleet Science Center, which is a local science museum. I was there for 1.5 years, and I truly loved it there. I was in their tinkering studio, which is basically a makerspace they have, and every single day we do a different activity with the students or the guests there. So we do a little hands-on thing, and the person running the studio gets to create what they're doing that day. And being there 1.5 years gave me a lot of really cool opportunities. I started obviously just learning the basicness of the tinkering studio and working with people there, but eventually they gave me more and more responsibilities to the point where I was basically running the studio most days. There was multiple days where I was there completely alone, which is a really cool experience. I wasn't just stuck at the base level. I got to grow and grow and grow my skills. And it was a really cool space when it came to project creation, considering it's so cool for trial and error of projects, because you create something and you create the instructions for it, but then you actually get to do it that day and see what worked and what didn't work, whether it was with the instructions or with the project itself. And then the next day, you're gonna come back and you're gonna try it again, and you're gonna improve projects over and over and over again. And as a future teacher, it was just a great space for me to be in. It also gave me great experience working with students of all ages and all backgrounds. We had students from other countries come in. We have students from every single age group, every single financial group. Everyone comes to this museum, and it was a really cool experience. And I'm really proud I won their Intern of the Year award for 2016 and 2017. So next, I interned technically at the college, Mesa College. That is the college that our high school is located on, but really it was teaching their personal growth class. So it's a real college professor, it's a real college course, but it's the introduction course to the 10th graders at my school that everyone has to take before they can take other college classes. So really it's like I'm teaching 10th graders. And I first thing noticed, I like the age group a lot more than 7th graders. The maturity was just a lot better, and I really engaged with them, and they were engaged with what they were learning, and it was a really cool experience in that way. I also got to see the struggles that so many students were going through. I did a lot of one-on-one tutoring, and to sit down and actually go through with students what they were having issues with, whether it was something on my end or their end. It was a really cool experience, considering you don't really get that perspective a lot as a student. You don't necessarily get to see what every person is going through. And it's just cool seeing it from the other end and getting that wide perspective from the people in your class. It was also interesting just to see what it was like behind the scenes at a higher level. Creating a syllabus for college is much different than creating a syllabus for middle school. So to see that change and that difference was really interesting. So now I spent about my first 3 years in education, and I was pretty sure I wanted to go into education, but I wanted to make sure. So I decided to try one of my passions out. I've always loved reptiles, so I worked at Pet Kingdom, which is an exotic reptile store, and I decided, no, I want to go back to education. I liked the work fine, but it was just so much less engaging and fulfilling that I had in education. But I'm super happy I got this experience now before I become a teacher, and then in the back of the mind, I always think maybe I want to do something else. And I think that's one of the best parts of the internship program. I know what I want to get into, but so many students don't, and they can jump around from career path to career path, trying out different things before they have to go and put money into trying those out and taking a lot of their time outside of high school. There's little to no risk, and I think that's a really great part of the program. So now I go to my current internship, which is at Creekside Elementary School. I'm in their 1st and 2nd grade classroom. It's a mixed class. I help with their math and English, and I basically run their science due to the experience I have at the Science Center, plus the fact that my teacher does not like teaching science. She gets very overwhelmed very quickly, so to be that support system for her is helpful for both of us. You can actually see to the side there, that's one of the grass heads we created, so we do little science projects like that with the students. I knew I liked teaching older students, but I wanted to try out teaching younger students. I know I like teaching them from my experience at the Science Center, and where I really love the kids, the work is just not quite engaging enough for me. I find myself getting kind of bored teaching these basic, math problems and basic concepts of English every single day, so I just learned it's not really for me, though the kids are great. Though also, it really opened my eyes to the importance of early education. I think for me and for other people, sometimes we look at, middle school and high school as when students start to develop who they are. And to see 1st graders who are going through something at home or going through something just anywhere and seeing the difference that they have at such an early age is really eye-opening, I guess. And it makes me respect it so much more than before. As far as other aspects of my education, like I said, we do college classes, so currently I'm enrolled in Humanities 205, which is exploring human values through film. I've taken like 15 different college classes, and not only is it cool that I'm getting those credits done for free, because the school pays for tuition and books, but also college is no longer a mystery. Sure, every first day of college is stressful when you don't know who's in your class and you don't know your professor, and it's always kind of scary. But now I know what it's like to go into a college classroom, or to need a college textbook, or to write a college essay, or look at a college syllabus. It's no longer just a foreign concept that I know I'm going to get to next year. I now have experience actually on a college campus, And I think that's so beneficial. I'm still terrified for college, don't get me wrong, but I'm so less terrified of the college itself. As far as other things, just naturally going out in the world and putting, yourself on the line in interviews, and working with different people, you get some great social and emotional learning, and this is something I'm really happy the Met has also done a ton for. I think it's the most underrated part of education. If a student's social and emotional well-being and health is not there, they're not going to be able to do the academic side of things. So I think the teaching that comes from both the Met and then the other experiences at the school really pushes that. And it gives me confidence way past just academics. I can do things, and I am good at time management now to the point where I can have a job. I became ASB president this year. I founded and became the president of our GSA for the past 2 years. I can do stuff because I have the skills to, and I have the skills to engage with the community and do a bunch of extra stuff. And I'm really happy and proud that I'm able to do that stuff. And just overall, I'm so happy I went to the school. It's crazy to me that I could be right now, well, I guess it's spring break, so not right now, but next week I could be sitting just in a dull classroom, just not caring at all about what I'm doing. Instead, I get to do real life stuff, engaging with my education. And it's just, I'm so happy that I made the choice to come here, and so happy I made the choice to look past and push what education could be. Thank you so much.
And do people access those community gardens? I'm from San Diego, so I haven't seen. I've only looked on the internet at those projects.
Yeah, you're allowed to go there because there's someone always there supervising the garden, making sure no one's messing up. But no one does that. It's a nice garden. Everyone's free to grow their own plants. Sometimes you're just from the community. They'll let you have your own section to plant your own things. So I think that's been really helpful for the community. And they also teach you things about the garden, how to take care of it, and what would be some good things to start off to plant.
Thank you so much. Oh, thanks.
We don't bite. You guys can ask me more questions.
When you think about a teacher who has the most significant impact in your life up until now, what are the characteristics that teacher has?
Probably my teacher, Anna. She's my math teacher, and just overall, math has never been a strong suit for me. I'm more of a history, English type of guy. And just her, I had to retake math. 11th grade year, I passed it first semester, then passed it again. I just really didn't apply myself. I didn't understand, but this year she's really been helping me in understanding my situation, some things I be having going on at home. But she still is willing to help me after school. And I really seen she really is a good teacher, because not a lot of teachers go out their way to help you like that. So I'm really seeing her as a strong teacher, understanding what your student's going through and having empathy, not sympathy.
I love her, but she's always engaging with students. She teaches us a lesson, she teaches history, and I know a lot of students, they can't get into that. It's just boring stuff that's already happened, but she has this way of getting all the kids into it and telling us stories that happened and all of her knowledge, and then bringing her own personal life in and asking kids about their life. And we have good things at the beginning of class where we all get to share stuff, and as she says it, I think it's build community, and it really does help, just being able to know everyone and her pushing everyone to get along and be sweet to each other.
I was very impressed by how you rode the beat, your lyrical delivery and your subject matter. What I want to know is, what's your process? Who are you influenced by? Do you listen to a lot of old school lyricists like the Nas's and the Jay-Z's and the Rakims and the Jay Electronicas? Because your flow and your lyricism and your poetry is just way beyond your years. You don't really sound like the average modern mainstream MC that's out today. And I really would like to know what's your plans for it in the future.
So I started rapping when I was 14, and at that time when I started rapping, I was rapping an average person, average person from South Central. Yeah, one of my brothers that was supposed to be here, but he had to go to service for his teacher that passed. But he was rapping at the time too. and he a year younger than me. He's 13. I was 14. So, and when I heard him spit, like it blew my mind. Like he was like on the Kendrick Lamar level at 13, and like that inspired me like to step my game up, and I started like listening to like East Coast music, like, and ever since I've been listening to, I just started like discovering new artists. Like, I mean, well, older artists that I never heard of before, like underground artists. Like one like Big L, I like Big Pun. I like the whole DITC, Lord Finesse, Buck Wild. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
All of them.
All right.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me.
The best teacher I've had, like I really actually sit in class and learn, like the Dodgers. Everybody in LA likes the Dodgers, right? The greatest team, whatever. But I learned that before it was the Dodger Stadium, it was the Chavez Ravine. There was 1,800 families, 3 communities that thrived and lived off themselves. And Walter O'Malley moved the Dodgers from Brooklyn, right? Brooklyn? Down to LA, and they forced the families out. Like if they didn't want to leave, they like the police came, the sheriffs came, they kicked them out. What else? Their houses were worth like what, $40,000, and they tried to like offer them $10,000. So basically, it was like they didn't win. There was never a win situation. Like I learned like actual real stuff, and like I don't know. I never really liked school until I got here.
I'm gonna speak more about my school. You know, I feel like it's a great environment because I like schools with a small amount of people. I feel like it's like you engage more with the teachers, with the students learn more, and it's more one-on-one. And it's not a lot of students at our school, but it just started, right? Yeah. We got a studio, a classroom. We have great equipment that well, not the best, but you know it's good. And we make songs off of like real life things. Like I don't know if you guys are aware of the New Zealand shooting where around 50 people died, and we actually made a song on that. Well, we were making a song, it's not done yet, and we make songs on that and stuff. And yeah, we just, you know, it's always based around a topic, like history and what's going on today.
I would love to hear about those differences in like your class community. How has that been different and helped you develop and engage more in your learning? You kind of named a smaller group size, but would just love to hear if you guys had the differences of different learning environments. What are those, and what has been like the most impactful to you?
Well, before, I used to always want to go to that big high school, you know, like a big high school with a lot of kids so I could have fun. And I did. I went to Benjamin Franklin, and I got kicked out my first semester of 9th grade. I went to Augustus Hawkins. I stayed there my 9th, beginning of 10th. My 11th grade, it was a big school, so I was just ditching. I wasn't going to class. I wasn't engaged. It didn't really catch my attention. Ever since middle school, school has always been like, it hasn't been my thing. And yeah, so after Augustus Hawkins, I got kicked out, and then I went to jail, and then I came out. Then I went to Frida Kahlo, which is it's like a continuation, just to build your credits up and get out type thing. It didn't work out there. And then I went to Whitney Young, continuation, and all of those were the same to me because it was always the same thing. It was always like nothing caught my eye. It was like I never been to a field trip in high school till I came to this school. I promise you. And those are big high schools, like real big high schools, and I never went to one field trip. And I came to this school. My first day, they said I gotta make a song, a poem, an album, 12 songs that define my life, and we had to present it. And I just loved it right away. I made the song. This is the song. the song that I performed. This is the song. I made the beat, and I did everything. I made the beat. I engineered it. I produced it. All of that. And then I think I finished it in like 2 days. But yeah, I think I made the beat in like 30 minutes, and then I was writing my lyrics, and then I finished it the next day and recorded everything. And the difference is things that I want to do. For me, the difference is I want to do things like this. Like, I want to go to San Diego and perform. I want to make songs about life. I want to rap. I want to meet a lot of new people. Our school like is always like connected with somebody new. And we always have guests coming over, teaching us about the music, teaching us about the studio, everything. And we get new engineer. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like, am I missing the question? I feel like I'm missing that.
Actually, if each of you could answer this question at least a little bit, because I want to hear from everybody. Safety. How important is a sense of safety in your environment in terms of emotional safety? You shared about some personal issues that you had that made you want to be a teacher because the administration or a teacher knew and cared. Physical safety in the commute to school, at school, how important is it to feel safe? Describe safety in your context of education, how it's being achieved and how important it is for you.
Safety is huge. Like I said, if a student doesn't feel open and they don't feel like they can engage with the school, they're not going to, and then their education is just not going to be meaningful for them. Engaging as far as being open about what I've gone through in my personal life, being open and feeling safe to start our GSA and have that advocacy part of me be out there. I would say, safety is, as far as emotional and social safety, is one of the biggest things that is the doorway to allow students to have a meaningful education. And if that doorway is closed, they don't get into the building, they don't get to have that meaningful education. And then as far as physically safe, I would say that's also really important. Just being who I am, I don't have necessarily, the biggest struggle with that. But no, I would say that both of those are really, really important.
I totally agree with you. I mean, feeling emotionally safe is something that you really need to be able to focus on your work and to get everything done, because if you're feeling insecure or if you're feeling like something's going to happen, you're not going to be able to focus on your work. You're going to be off in your own world. So just being able to connect with someone at home or with someone at school and being able to open up about that and just being able to kind of feel more comfortable, it really helps. And then physical safety too. I mean, if you're at a place that really does help ensure that you are safe at school, it does help.
What are some things that are happening to help you feel safe at school?
Well, me, I'm not much of a person to worry about that kind of thing. But our school, it's a pretty big school system because it's the only one in our area. So, I don't know, it's just kind of like they have all their precautions in place and I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'll say emotional safety and physical safety. I know, where I'm from, South Central, it's a lot of gang banging, a lot of dudes hanging out, and it's not a safe environment for kids to walk around, because you could die at any time, and and I can see that in the kids. You feel me? Because I have a feeling. I feel like it's crazy how we have to watch every car that's driving past, and we have to dress a certain type of way. We can't wear certain colors. We can't wear certain hats, and it's just crazy. And it's that takes our focus off of school somehow, and it's emotional support. parents, you know, some kids have parents that be going through things, and like there's kids that be going through things, and it's hard for them to cope with, you know, being in school and stuff, because it's like those emotions is affecting them, and they'll bring it to school and stuff. So it's just a safety period, you know. Kids need it. They need to be safe. They need to feel like they safe. So they don't feel like they safe, then they go find someone to make them feel safe. Like I say, I got this one quote. I said, put me to work before I find some work to put in.
Oh, man.